Hi everybody and welcome to Excel. I wanted to just give you a quick little introduction to Excel and show you a few things in there so that you can feel more comfortable using the program. I also wanted to reassure you that if you really dislike math and numbers scare you and so you're feeling really skeptical about embracing Excel, please know that most of my students end up liking Excel more than Word. Word is a lot more finicky when it comes to formatting and such, and Excel isn't. Also, for the projects in SAM, sometimes you will get marked wrong if you don't do the project the exact way that you saw in the training. And for Excel, that's not typically the case. The only time that comes into play is when you're creating formulas. If they tell you to specifically use a function for the formula, then you have to do that. And I'm going to show you that in just a minute. So you'll start this week with your Excel Training 1 and your Excel Project 1. So you're going to navigate to your Excel program. We have to use a desktop version, right? Because we can't do our projects in our online version that we get with our Office 365 account. They don't have all the features available. So when we did Word, we were creating documents. Now in Excel, we are creating workbooks. Now some of you might think, wait, I thought they were spreadsheets. They are spreadsheets, but all of the spreadsheets put together compile the workbook. And so that's why that's what the file is called. So down here at the bottom, you'll see sheet 1. You can have more than one spreadsheet. So that's why they're called workbooks. So Excel is going to look fairly similar to Word at the top. The ribbon is going to look similar, especially in the Home tab with all of your formatting for your text and such. So that should look familiar to you and you should be comfortable navigating around that. You have all different tabs. Some of the tabs are going to be different from what you used in Word, but just the layout of the program, especially at the top, should feel somewhat comfortable for you. Now, instead of having a blank document, you have a blank worksheet in front of you, which is comprised of all of these cells. So the columns, which are the ones that go up and down, are identified by letters. And then the rows are identified by numbers and they go across. So it's kind of like playing bingo. If I tell you to go to O10, you find column O and then row 10 and click in that box. And if you're not sure, because it's kind of to the right a little bit, and so you just want to be sure, you can look up here in the name box. You can also actually use that to navigate. If you have to go to S25, you can type that and press enter, and it'll take you right there. Now, whatever cell you are in and you want to start typing, whether it be a formula or text, you'll see whatever you're typing come up here in the formula bar. Now, Excel is obviously infamous for creating formulas. So anytime you want to start creating a formula, the magic key that you'll start with is the equal sign. And you'll notice that once you type the equal sign, a few different things happen to your program. So before I see what cell I'm in here, and all of this is available to click on. Once I press the equal sign, this is shaded out because we're not going to format when we're creating a formula. And now your functions are enabled. This is what I mentioned in the beginning, that if your project tells you to create a formula using a function, you have to use one of these drop downs. And there are more when you click on that over here. If it doesn't tell you you have to use a function, then you can simply type out the formula yourself without using one. So I'm going to create a quick little spreadsheet here. We're going to call it Megan's Bake Shop. So Megan owns a small business and she has some employees and she needs a way to keep track of the hours that they work each week, how much their pay is, and then how much she needs to pay them. So Excel is a great program for her to use to do that. So we're going to make up some employees' names: Penelope, Anthony, Brandon, Kelly, John, Nick. And now we need their pay rates and their hours worked, and then their total pay. So if you notice, hours worked cuts over into the next column. So that's not good, because if I wanted to type something here, then I wouldn't be able to see this whole text. So one way I can fix that is if you hover over until your cursor goes from a fat white plus sign to a skinny black cursor with the 2 pointed arrows, you can double click and it automatically sizes it for you so that you can see it. And again, the formatting is the same as Word, so you can change that just like you did in Word. Okay? So now we need to write in everybody's pay rate. So let's say they all make between $15 and $20 an hour. And then we're going to figure out how many hours they all worked. Okay? Now, this pay rate, you can't really tell that it's money, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Excel that anytime I type a number here, I want it to be identified as currency by pressing the dollar sign. And that changes the number format for me. If I don't need dollars and cents, I can simply remove them. Oops. Highlight over and you can remove them. But for money, somebody might have changed in their pay rate. I'm going to leave it. Now I need to calculate how much they'll get paid for the week. So I obviously need to multiply the hours worked times the pay rate. So I start with an equal sign, and I can just click on the pay rate, and then the asterisk identifies the multiplication symbol in Excel. Then I select the hours worked and press enter, and it just did the math for me. So I have to do it again, right? Here, times hours worked equals. What about if you had 50 or 100 employees? That would take you a while to keep recreating that formula over and over again, right? So there is a better way to do it. You can use the fill button right down here. So when you have a cell selected, you have that fat white plus sign again. Hover over the bottom right until you're on the little box and it's a skinny black plus sign, and you click and drag it down. So Excel is smart enough to anticipate what you want it to do. So up here we had C5 times E5. When I copied it, it automatically changed C6 times E6. It identifies that in the formula bar. The next one changed it to row 7, and so on and so forth. So for this instance, Excel got it right, and that is what they want you to do. So that's perfect. If you want to know how much your total pay was for the week, your payroll for everybody, there's a cool little auto sum feature over here. You put your cursor where you want the total to go, and you drag up. Your answer is going to be down here, and you click auto sum. Now, anytime you add anything in between here, like if you hire somebody new, it'll automatically adjust that for you. So like if I added 100 there, you see how it went up? So that's how you do that. Now I want to show you something else. Let's take out the pay rate. Let's just say that everybody gets paid the same, okay? So I'm going to write over here that everybody gets $20 an hour. Now the formula doesn't work anymore, right? Because there's nothing in C4. I have to change the formula. So I'm going to erase all of this. Oops, sorry. And I'm going to create a new formula. Equal sign again. Hours worked times 20 equals. Now we know that I can just copy this all the way down. Oops, forgot to erase that one. Copy this all the way down. But what happened? Why didn't it work? Well, let's look at the formula. This one says E4 times L1. This one says E5. Okay, that's what we wanted. Times L2. Okay, that's a problem, because I need it to stay L1 all the way down. But these are all called relative references, which means they move. Excel thinks they know what you're trying to do, so they allow the cells to move down when you copy the formula. So what I need to do is change this L1 over here to an absolute reference. An absolute reference doesn't change. It's not going to let the L1 slide down even if you autofill it. It's going to keep that cell the same in all of the formulas, no matter how many you copy it to. The way you change it to an absolute reference is by adding a $sign before the column letter and a $sign before the row number. So it'll look like $L, $1. Enter. Now I'm going to copy it again all the way down. And now it works. And if you notice, this total down here repopulated. And it's different, of course, because the pay rate's different. So if you click on it, now it stays L1 all the way down. Okay? Wanted to show you one more thing. Down here at the bottom, so let's say if this was going to be just for 1 week, I could rename it. And it could be October 16th week, right? And then let's say this one is going to be October 23rd week. And then this one is going to be October 29th. Then I can have my payroll in a different spreadsheet for each week. And I can copy this whole template here and paste it into my other spreadsheets and then work off of that. You can also change the tab color to help you identify your different weeks as well. So that's just some of the cool things about Excel. Hopefully that makes you feel a little bit better going into your project for this week. You will need to do formulas with the function buttons this week, as well as the absolute reference. So feel free to go back to this video if you need any help. Saving your files is the same as it was in Word. You go to File, Save As, and then you can browse to put it wherever you want on your PC. If you have any questions about this week's project, please don't forget to email your instructor. Have a great week.